What is up, Cyrus fan? We're back again today with another video, and guess what? We have a super cool car in the shop today. BMW E30, all like Alpina, Euroed out, super dope. This is my buddy Tino's car. It was won multiple trophies, been in multiple magazines, just pretty much all over the internet. I built this car a few years back as like a project shell for him to be able to kind of test everything out to make sure it was all gonna work, and then he transferred everything into this car himself. So basically what ended up happening with this is it's got a fully built 2jzgte non-BBTI in it, if you can believe it, because it does look very stock. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and give you some quick B-rolls of the car to show you how everything looks. So this thing is just phenomenally beautiful, and then I'll go ahead and go over mods while showing you the engine bay. Alright guys, so let's get right into this. So we got the King's Royal intake manifold from Superstore with the ID 1000 injectors. Got the Megan coilover conversion. We went ahead and did the chase bays, full delete for the brake booster, because obviously there's no freaking room in this thing. Got the air motor fuel pressure regulator. Wiring's pretty much everywhere. Like I said, guys, this guy's coming in for some major upgrades. The car is on AEM V1 with a harness that we've had nothing but problems with. Because that's for some Honda shit that we don't run any of our stuff. And Turbonetics 7268, I believe, with some form of tile wastegates. Fully built 2jzgte non-BBTI. We got the Nuke catch can over here with the radium fittings, the coil rad radiator with one small 14-inch fan that's down up in here, and a pretty small intercooler. So pretty much on this car, guys, we're going to be battling a few things. So initially, this car made around 440 wheel horsepower, very conservative, very small intercooler, and you're going to see that in a minute because we're going to have to remove this bumper and the whole front end on this thing to get everything fixed up. We need to move the fan closer to the radiator because that's not how I had it when I built this car initially. As you can see over here, the fan is way too far away from the radiator. So let's see if we can get that closer. The intercooler piping keeps blowing off on that end because somehow someone changed the piping from the way that I typically do it. I don't know how that happened or what the deal is. Yeah, just little odds and ends we're going to be changing, but exhaust work is is working. The car was running and driving up until recently. So I mean, it's all very nicely done. We did the alternator like relocation kit as well, where we moved the alternator from that side over to this side, which ended up basically making it so you can't run power steering, which is kind of dumb, but it did make more clearance on the turbo. I mean, I did the swap about 3.5 years ago, and then they've made some adjustments since then, so I haven't really seen the car, but that's pretty good for the car to have been running for, you know, 3 years with zero problems up until recently, having electrical problems and everything else too. But that may have just been the V1 computer, because we all know those aren't very good for daily driving or for staying too good for too long. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna be putting camshafts in this 264s from Brian Crowder. I don't know why they weren't done in the first place since the engine was fully built, but when I asked the first time, they did not want to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and put them in now, make a little bit more power on that. The turbo is awesome. Those, you know, big turbo should make big power. So I mean, let's hope that we can break the 500 number, maybe even get into 600 number. I'm going to recommend as well him putting a surge tank in the trunk. And I mean, obviously the car is really low right now, but if you guys didn't catch a peek of that earlier, the car is on airlift, I believe. As you can see in the trunk, there's a huge air compressor back here with a whole airbag system. So super, super dope. A lot of cleanup and stuff we're gonna do. We're gonna probably have to put the surge tank back here because we just want to eliminate fuel problems, guys. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and go over with you guys, you know, like the importance of the surge tank and kind of why we're gonna be using this setup from now on. I know Jay at Real Street was really big on explaining doing you know, in-tank stuff versus external, you know, inline stuff. These cars have a very, very, very small fuel system, so we're going to be getting in the trunk and showing you about that and how to do fuel pumps in these cars as well. So it's going to be a lot of learning experience for these guys, for you guys on this video, since pretty much this was never able to be recorded since it was such a long time ago and I just wasn't taking YouTube seriously back then. So stay with it. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into this thing. This video is probably gonna be a little long because there's a lot of stuff to cover in a short period of time. But let's hop right into it, you guys, and get this thing on the Infinity. The first thing we're gonna be doing right now is installing my brand new wiring harness that I just made for this customer, getting the Infinity system running on the existing system that he has, just to make sure that everything is working in a working condition. And then we're gonna go ahead and jump into surge, intercooler, cams, and we'll rip the front end off on the car right now. So sorry to be kind of boring with you guys, but this is gonna be how you remove the hood on these. There's a ground down here. You're gonna have two 10 bolts right here and a slide bolt that's here on both sides. And it's gonna be there and there. And then also this bracket over here supports the hood from being able to overextend. So that has to come off at the end. So let's get the hood off right now. That is a much better look for this thing. It's actually all pulled apart. You can see how quality and nice everything looks the first time around. So we got the headlights out, the hood off. Obviously the grille and the headlights are pretty self-explanatory. The front bumper, we're gonna have to find where the bolts are. I kind of forgot where those are, but isn't that pretty, guys? All right, guys, so we are in this beautiful E30 BMW right here, and you can see he's still on the old V1 special going on with the wire harness. I'm not a big fan of these harnesses because, I mean, up here, you know, down here, you got wire colors and good stuff like that. But up there, everything is just black wiring where you cannot even diagnose anything. Or you could by doing continuity, but it just takes too much time. So this thing is absolutely flawless and beautiful. I'm in love. Let's go ahead and get the ECU stuff out so we can get my setup in here and get everything all dialed in. All right, guys, so I'm going to be installing my Infinity harness right here that I built. And showing you guys like always, guys. Plug and play right to your Infinity. This is one of my universal harnesses, so this can wire up into any car. You have CAN capability to go to your BTI gauge, your dash, your fans are integrated, your fuel pumps are integrated. I can do twin, triple pumps, pretty much everything. Harnesses start at about $1,500 to $2,000. Yes, they are expensive, but I've never had a problem with one of them. So let's go ahead and get this installed right now. We'll say just pulling the front end off and get this thing done quickly. All right, guys, so my wiring harness is installed. That looks super great. We got this nice hole that we already punched right now where I can go ahead and bolt in my plate so you can't see anything. The old hole is there still, but the Infinity connector is quite a bit bigger, so it didn't need a new one punched through. I need to finish up wiring up the boost controller. I need to still put the cams in. There's a few other things that need to happen. Kind of weird how the timing belt is so loose. I'm pretty sure his tensioner is bad. Interesting. So yeah, that needs to be addressed. And we're gonna redo the fuel lines. I'm probably gonna move the fuel pressure regulator over here on the firewall because the way that it's set up right now is just kind of weird. And we're gonna be going to bigger fuel lines. So that's a possibility. Not sure if we're gonna do that or not. So just so we can kind of go inside and look at how everything kind of lines up with the Infinity setup. So the old V1's on the floor. Obviously, you got the harness that's coming through. Obviously, I'll tuck all this away. We don't need this much slack at all. And then we have all of our different relays, our main fusible link that we have there. The igniter gets moved into the car. And then we have our fuel pump trigger right here. Well, since we're doing a surge tank now, I'm gonna have to go ahead and wire in a secondary fuel pump onto this. Yeah, guys, just wanted to kind of show you guys how it all looks when it's in the car, and we're gonna go ahead and clean all that up in there and get ready for the 5-inch display we're gonna put on the dash back there. So let's get it. All right, guys, so real quick, this is what we're gonna go ahead and do right now. So you can see the piping downsizes here onto this side of the intercooler. It's like a 2.5-inch intercooler, a really crappy core if you're gonna try to make a lot of horsepower. So we have a bigger core of a better manufacturer and a better intercooler we can put on this, which would get him through dyno probably more than likely. Or we have a even bigger core, which is like the standard size we use for pretty much all the S chassis or anything like that. That works great as well. So I mean, I'm gonna see about mocking up the bigger core, obviously, because we wanna have more flow and just better cooling, and bigger intercooler, obviously better cooling. So we're gonna go ahead and I need to move the fan back to get enough clearance to fit this bigger intercooler so it doesn't hit on the back of the fan right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this right now. I'm gonna try to mock something up for the intercooler to make sure it's gonna clear after modifying where the fan is up top, because basically what's happened is whoever installed this after we did it, or reinstalled it, just zip tied it in. I don't know what happened to the brackets or whatever happened originally, but up top up here, it's hitting, but down at the bottom, it's touching where it's supposed to be touching to be maxed out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it up here and get this pushed way closer to where it's supposed to be. You know, for now, I'll probably just mock it back up with some zip ties. And then I also actually have to remove all this stuff anyways, because it looks like his tensioner for his timing belt is bad anyways. So I'm gonna have to pull the whole entire engine down in the front just to make sure that it's gonna be properly timed. Because obviously you're putting cams in, and I just don't want to be dealing with slipping the belt and doing it how I typically do if the engine isn't, first of all, in running form when it came in, and second of all, we just don't know how everything looks down there. I mean, it could have been off a tooth the whole entire time for all we know. Luckily, it's a non-VVTi, it's on stock cams, so it shouldn't be a big deal to, you know, whether it was off a tooth or forward or back, it'll still be fine. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm gonna pull this all apart right now, and we'll jump right into it. Just wanted to show you guys this real quick, because it's pretty bad. So these, you do not want to run at all. There's no harmonic balancer built into these. It's just a solid piece of aluminum. It throws all the harmonics of the engine off, and it leads to you blowing up your engine. I've seen these be okay under 400 horsepower, but above 400 horsepower, I've seen a lot of people blow their stuff up. Also, because I was telling you guys earlier about the belt. The belt is extremely loose. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that is never a good sign, especially too, because when you look at the timing, look at where the fuck we are. So either we're extremely retarded on the exhaust side, or we're extremely retarded on the intake side. I'm not quite sure right now. I just know that the tensioner is pushing through the fucking timing cover. So something broke or something is broken. Let it be this idler right here, pulley, and the bracket broke, because we all know 2jzgte stuff. They saw the Powerhouse Racing upgraded one, a bunch of other ones too. And then also it could be the tensioner that's just bad, because that would typically tell me the tensioner is bad. So timing obviously skipped on this and it shut off. I'm not really sure what actually happened when this happened, but this is probably why the engine didn't run anymore. So I'm gonna tear all this stuff down, and we're gonna see exactly where TDC is down here at the bottom. So we can see what happened with the cams, if they're advanced or retarded, because he said that it just made less and less and less boost. So I'm gonna assume it had to do probably something with the exhaust side. So let's go ahead and get this shit apart, and we can get it all back together and get it running again. Luckily, it's a non-VVTi, so if the compression ratio down here hasn't been messed with beyond, I believe, 9:1, he should not have any interference, since there's no cams in it right now. So thank God this didn't happen after we did all the work. This happened before, and it's been a few years, so probably pretty standard for something like this to happen with somebody, whoever put this together initially, you know, probably didn't put any parts on it or something. So I don't know. Let's get it, guys. Well, I called it, guys. The idler snapped. You can see right here. Look at that. Yoo-hoo! And judging that it doesn't have any Toyota stamp on it, it probably was Chinese. So might want to use real Toyota parts, guys, and not buy the Amazon special on your guys' stuff. So that's what happens when you could blow your engine up if this was any other engine right now. So I'm gonna go ahead, and you could also see it right there. So this whole shit was probably just flopping around the whole time, and I don't know how the hell you don't hear that, or you don't anything, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and fix this right now and see what's up, and let's go ahead and get the timing right now set to where it should have been. I guess it actually doesn't even matter, because if this wasn't working anyways, this whole shit was just spinning anyways. So I mean, just to kind of show you guys where we're at, this would have been top dead center on this one, and look where the fuck we're at on this one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees of timing off, you guys. Holy fuck. Yeehaw, brother. Looks like we done been using some Chinese dang old tensioner shit, you know? Just flopping around in here like this and dang old sniggle. Also wanted to kind of go over one more thing too. If this engine's brand new, then why the fuck are the cam seals leaking on both sides? You see all this shit? That doesn't just like happen, dude. You know what I mean? So I don't know, bro. I mean, I'm starting to feel like a lot of this stuff that was said about this engine probably isn't true. Cause let me get up here real quick. The head is pretty clean. So maybe it had a head gasket job done. And I do see ARP head studs in the head. So I'll give him that. But I'm starting to kind of believe and think that the block is pretty stock. So can't always believe everything everybody says, bro. Okay guys, so I just finished installing the BC264 cams. Boxes right there. Old cams are there. These are in. I'm gonna start torquing all this stuff down, getting everything back together with the new Titan or his old Titan Motorsports cam gears. Get everything cleaned up and pretty, change the plugs, and get ready to start. All right guys, so I'm feeling pretty good. So we got everything fixed on the bottom end. Got another OEM crank pulley I had lying around, put on it. Replaced the broken idler. The tensioner was still fine. As you can see now, there's no play in the belt. Nice and tight, super good. Got everything all torqued down. Got the BC264 cams installed. So we're gonna go ahead and put the valve covers back on right now and start putting the whole front end back together, fixing the intercooler piping and everything else, and then I'll pretty much be the end of this video. Smoky! All right guys, so we just went ahead and welded up the brackets real quick for the intercooler. Now this thing's not gonna move around too much anymore. Way bigger and way better than the one that he had on it, and it's gonna fit directly where the airflow is cut out of the front bumper anyways. This side's gonna be okay, but we're gonna go ahead and change all of this stuff out and also get that to fit up there because it keeps blowing intercooler pipes off up there. The fan's done, but everything's back together. So I'm pretty much just gonna get the intercooler piping done, and this is probably gonna be the end of this video. All right guys, so this is pretty much gonna be finished product before I can start on the wiring. Obviously, I gotta put the cowl back in the rear of the firewall to clean all that up and just make it look a little bit cleaner than it already was, but it already was very, very clean. So as you can see, valve covers are back on, top covers back on. It's all assembled back together. Went ahead and already bled the radiator, got all that done. We got the fan pushed all the way back. I gotta go ahead and solder on the two wires right there for the fan, make sure the polarity is going the right way. Intercooler's nice and mounted right here. Look at that, does not move at all. So I gotta tighten up those two bolts. And we went ahead and replaced the intercooler piping on this side of the setup from that weird 2.5-inch bend to now 3-inch piping on that side. It is very, very tight, but the holes were already punched there already. So, I mean, we'll have to figure out getting those a little bit bigger later on, but for the fact of just getting it done and running in dynoed, we're gonna go ahead and get that finished. The one thing that we are going to do for modification, just to kind of finally finish this thing off real quick, is I'm gonna run with the customer today about this. The intercooler, he had this whole entire lower valence piece capped off, which means he was only actually using this one hole for air to his intercooler. So I believe when we tuned the car originally, he did not have a bumper on it. So, I mean, obviously it got better airflow. And even then the intake air temperature sensor, or sorry, the intake air temp on the dyno at the ECU was peaking out. So I'm hoping that we will be able to fix that now by running a way bigger and better intercooler that I've actually tested on other cars and gotten up to a decent number of horsepower. This is pretty much the biggest he's gonna be able to fit without hitting the fan, without going kind of custom and everything too, and having to spend a whole bunch of money. So we're gonna be getting the dash in from BTI. I'm hoping sometime next week around Tuesday, Wednesday, which we'll be able to put in the dash right there to make that all work. I'll be getting the car started in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video on this super, super cool car. Tino's car is absolutely beautiful. One of the nicest E30s probably ever built or ever seen, even on the street. I know he's going to Supers in Vegas, so this car was really, really important for us to get done and kind of close to home, because I remember when he first had got the car, he could not get anything done. Nobody would help him, and everybody was just giving him bad information. So I mean, as always, I'm here to help all my customers and be just a you know, beacon of light on being able to get you done and how you're supposed to be done. So until next time, guys, I hope you like the video and continue watching. Peace.